My name is Lillian Mae Greenwood, and at 96 years old, I have made peace with most of the shadows that follow me. I have buried loved ones, watched the world change 100 times, and stood long enough in silence to hear my own heart grow old. But one story, the story that shaped me, haunted me, followed me, has never quieted. It is the story of the boy I loved, the forest that took him, and the night he returned nearly 50 years later, without a single day etched on his face. I was born in 1935 in a logging camp just outside Kalama, Washington. My father cut timber for a living, like his father before him. My mother cooked for the crew, 40 men who worked dawn to dusk in rain that never ended and forests so thick the sun barely touched the ground. Our world was cedar, fir, mud, and fog, endless fog. As a child, I believed the forest breathed. At night, lying in our tiny cabin, I would hear groans in the wind, creaks of ancient trunks, and soft, rhythmic tapping from somewhere far, far below the ground. My mother called it root talk, the sound of old trees settling. But my father warned me, "Lily, these woods hide things. Don't go listening too close." I didn't understand then. I would. When I was 17, a new crewman joined the camp. His name was Elias Rowan. 19, dark hair, broad shoulders, quiet eyes the color of river stones. He didn't drink with the men. He didn't swear. He spent evenings alone at the tree line, listening to the forest. He said it shifted sometimes, like it was rearranging its bones. People made jokes about him, called him the Whisper Boy, said he heard things no sane person should hear. But I saw something softer beneath his strangeness, grief maybe, or a longing for something he couldn't name. We became friends after I found him sitting by the creek, carving spirals into a piece of cedar. He handed it to me without looking up. He said, "For luck." I still have it. Weeks passed. We walked the ridge trails together, shared dried apples from my mother's jars, talked about everything except whatever possessed the forest at night. He eventually told me his mother had died when he was young and his father drank himself to death soon after. The forest was all he had left, his work, his refuge, his fear. He said, "Sometimes I think it watches me." I shivered, but not from the cold. Despite his oddness, I fell in love with him, deeply, fully, recklessly. One night, under a blanket of fog so thick it felt alive, he kissed me behind the bunkhouse. His lips were cold and trembling, as if he feared the night might witness our secret. He whispered, "Lily, if anything ever happens to me, don't come looking. Not in these woods, not ever." I laughed nervously. "Why would you say something like that?" His hand tightened on mine. "Because some places don't give back what they take." On May 3rd, 1953, the morning began like any other, Drizzle, mud, men cursing as they sharpened saws. But just before the crew set out, a strange sound echoed from the forest. A deep, low vibration. Not thunder, not wind, something older. Elias stiffened. He turned toward the sound, eyes wide, breathing shallow. Then he whispered, "Not today. Please, not today." Before I could ask what he meant, one of the foremen shouted for the men to move out. Elias grabbed his gear and joined the crew. He looked back at me once, fear written across his face. It was the last time I saw him alive.
At noon, the forest shook. Men came running from the ridge, screaming about a sinkhole swallowing half the cutting team. The ground had collapsed, roots, soil, timber, men, all dropping into a cavern no one knew existed. 5 were rescued. 3 bodies were recovered. Elias was neither. Some said the earth took him. Some said he slid deeper than anyone else and died instantly. Some said he was crushed. But I didn't believe any of it. Not after what the survivors said. They claimed they heard voices in the dark, calling their names, mimicking loved ones, whispering strange instructions. But one man insisted he heard something else. Footsteps. Soft. Slow. Deliberate. As if someone was walking deeper into the cavern, willingly. No one ever found Elijah's body. He was declared dead, case closed. But I knew better. I felt it in my chest, the way a tree feels lightning before it strikes. He wasn't gone, not completely. Life forced itself forward. I married a kind man named Emmett. We had 2 daughters. I worked at the town library. We grew old together. But Elias lived in the space between my ribs, a ghost without a grave. Then came November 2nd, 2001, a night colder than any in memory. I was alone, Emmett gone 5 years by then. The wind hammered the windows, fog pressed against the glass like hands. At 11:43 p.m., someone knocked on my door. 3 slow knocks. My heart froze. My breath stopped. Something in me recognized the rhythm. I opened the door, and he stood there. Elias. 19 years old. Same clothes, same face, not 1 day older. Rain clung to his hair, fog curled around his boots. His eyes were wide. Not wild, not ghostly, just tired. "Lily." I dropped the lamp I was holding. It shattered. I stumbled backward, shaking, unable to speak. He stepped inside, hesitant, gentle, as though the house itself might reject him. "You're alive," I whispered. He nodded weakly. "I tried," he said, "to get back sooner." A sob tore from my chest. "But you didn't age," I whispered. "How?" His expression shifted into something like sorrow. "The forest kept me," he said. "Time doesn't move the same way down there." "Down where?" He swallowed hard. "Below, where the roots are, where the ground breathes." Then he said the thing that haunts every breath I take. "I wasn't the only one down there." I trembled. "What does that mean?" He shook his head. "I can't." His voice cracked. "It follows." A shadow passed across his face. The air around him grew colder. He whispered, "I shouldn't have come. I just needed to see you. One last time." "No," I cried. "Stay, sit, tell me what happened." He stepped backward, toward the open door. The fog swallowed his outline. He whispered, "Thank you for remembering me." Then he was gone. Not walking, not running. Gone. Like mist torn apart by wind. I searched for footprints. None. I checked the porch for water drops. None. I checked the road. Untouched. But the air still held his scent. Cedar and rain. For weeks, I woke every night at 11:43, waiting for 3 slow knocks. They never came again. The forest took him twice. The second time, I think, was final. If I could speak to that 17-year-old girl again, the girl who carved hearts into cedar, who believed love could rescue anyone, I would tell her, he didn't abandon you. He didn't die the way they said. He didn't forget. And love, real love, can survive even the places where time stops. That is my story. The story of the boy the forest held on to, and the night it let him go just long enough to say goodbye.